Kuma and Bonnie's insane secret pasts fully revealed, Dragon's Devil Fruit, and appearance on Egghead, and more will be discussed in this one, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Chill a perking within and smash that like button if you enjoy seeing these One Piece reviews and want to keep them coming. Make this the video you join the Nakama by subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss future One Piece reviews and updates. With just one click of that subscribe button, you can help us reach our insane dream of 2 million subscribers here on YouTube, and I would be eternally grateful for that. Now without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. As you'll remember, last chapter was one of the darkest and most tragic of One Piece, and this one won't get much better as we'll see. After Ginny was kidnapped by a celestial dragon who wanted to marry her, she contracted a fatal illness, and only because of that illness was she released, aka thrown away. By the time Kuma caught up to his love, she was dead, and all that was left was her baby, child Bonnie, the daughter of the celestial dragon who kidnapped her. Kuma focused on raising this baby as his own, and they shared a lot of beautiful, heartwarming moments together, only for her to also contract the same deadly illness. That's right, they pulled a Clannad after story on us. She was given only until the age of 10 to live. As if that wasn't bad enough, the chapter ended with King Bekuri returning as monstrous as ever, wanting to cut loose the country's dead weight by burning the less fortunate in their homes. As the narrator aptly puts it, the never-ending tragedy of Kuma's life continues to unfold. This chapter picks up right there with King Bekuri. The corrupt king heard what the king of Goa Kingdom did there, burning down the Great Terminal, and so he decides he'll do the same thing in Sorbet Kingdom, meaning he'll burn down villages and shoot people who protest. Kuma finally can't stand it anymore. The dude has been through so much. He's like a saint, as we'll see later on in the chapter, so you can't blame him for finally snapping after everything. He destroys the palace and defeats King Bekuri. He did this single-handedly, and so this was later called the one-man revolution of Sorbet. Even though he stopped the revolutionary stuff to focus on caring for the sick Bonnie, he still ended up carrying out a one-man revolution. You just can't stop this guy from being a revolutionary, he just accidentally stumbles into it. After that, in Marijoa, Saturn, who is constantly the elder given panel time as of late, hears news that there's a new king of the Sorbet Kingdom. It's explained that Kuma only became king because he couldn't refuse the people's demand. They wanted him, so he caved in, but still lived in the church, and the one who actually ran Sorbet Kingdom was King Bulldog, who was the king of 2 generations ago. Then we finally get the answer to one of our big questions about Bonnie, the aging fruit and what its true name is. We're told one day Bonnie ate the Toshi Toshi no Mi by accident. And so using a quick Google search, it looks like it's pretty much called the age fruit, which makes sense. Unfortunately, we don't see exactly when she ate it or why the fruit was there in the Sorbet Kingdom, but we do know she used it to turn into her adult form, the same form that she uses in the present. Everyone is shocked by her in this form and thinks it's Ginny. King Bulldog visits the church with his mother Connie. Bonnie tries practicing her transformation while looking at Connie, and then her old form ends up looking very similar to Connie. There's a funny moment here where people keep mistaking them for each other, and that's interesting. It seems like it's not just about years, and Bonnie can even shape the specifics of how she looks at different ages to an extent. I love learning more about the specifics of her fruit, and I look forward to uncovering even more. Then King Bulldog brings some bad news to Kuma, and believe it or not, it's former King Bekuri again. They gotta just end this dude already. Bekuri escaped yet again and now has the world government on his side. The news had it that Kuma overthrew Bekuri for power and was now the evil ruler of the Sorbet Kingdom. Accordingly, the Marines lent support to Bekuri so that he can take back the Sorbet Kingdom. Now at least we see exactly how Kuma, this incredibly nice person, got the label of tyrant. It was classic world government misinformation, just like Dragon, who's trying to free people, is labeled as the world's worst criminal. Although if we really think about it, criminal is a bad thing, and if he was the worst criminal, then he'd be bad at being bad, so, you know, it's kind of accurate, not gonna lie. Finally, Kuma decides to take care of Bekuri for good. Thank God, but realizes he won't be able to remain in Sorbet Kingdom after that. As expected, Kuma simply entrusts the kingdom to King Bulldog. King Bulldog also agrees to take Bonnie to live with him in the castle and will make sure Bonnie doesn't touch natural light because, as we know, that speeds up the deadliness of her disease. So with the kingdom and Bonnie in good hands, Kuma heads out to face Bekuri. Bekuri is accompanied by a marine fleet in the middle of the sea. Bekuri is clearly just a puppet and the world government wants to use him to exercise their own power. But Bekuri acts tough nonetheless, saying, "Kill him, he's the tyrant that took the kingdom from me," end quote. Keep in mind, tyrant means a cruel and oppressive ruler. And it's just so ironic how Bekuri, who fits that description, calls the saint like Kuma that, who only agreed to be king because the people wanted it. And yet Kuma's tyrant epithet, or nickname, stuck, as did Dragon's worst criminal epithet. set. One Piece once again reminding us that you can't trust the narratives perpetuated by the powers that be. Kuma, however, is a badass through and through here, and like he ran a single-handed revolution last time, this time he sinks all the ships by himself. Unfortunately though, again, we can't see if Bekuri died or not. If he ever comes back, then Bonnie should really take care of him once and for all. After this, Kuma flees to the sea and becomes a pirate. He was given many evil nicknames and received a very high bounty due to his strength. The bounty is not shown in this chapter as far as we can tell, but way back during chapter 234, Warlord Kuma's former bounty was stated to be 296 million berries. Personally, I feel like the revolutionary bounties we've gotten so far are criminally low, and considering Kuma has buccaneer blood and single-handedly conducts revolutions or sinks marine fleets, not to mention was one of the pillars of the revolutionaries, I think it should, no surprise, be a lot higher. Let's just hope Dragons isn't similarly underwhelming. Anyways, while Kuma is being a pirate, Bonnie is being raised in the castle by Connie. Bonnie says when she turns 10, she will become a pirate like her dad, meaning Kuma. Interesting that Kuma accidentally led to worst generation pirate jewelry Bonnie being a thing. But again, this line reminds us of the tragic truth, that even though Bonnie thinks she'll be cured by 10, Kuma was actually told she'd be dead by that age, just when she thinks her life will be getting started. Pirate Kuma travels around the world searching for a cure. A cool throwback is that he visits all the islands where he sent the Straw Hats during the Saboti incident. He talks to the people of Torino Kingdom where Chopper was sent, to the scientists of Witheria where Nami went, to Heracles in the Boyne Archipelago where Usopp went. We even see Abdullah and Jeet from Dressrosa arc try to collect Kuma's bounty only to have their ships destroyed by Kuma. But then we enter the part we've been waiting for. Kuma is finally reunited with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dragon, on his Wind Granma ship in the middle of the sea. So there the word wind is mentioned because it's the name of Dragon's ship. We already knew that that was the name. But it won't be the last time wind is mentioned, as we'll see. For now, we're told all current revolutionary commanders are on the ship, except Sabo and Koala. However, we're told Ivankov and Inazuma have both been captured and sent to prison. We know that they will be there during Luffy's famous prison break from Impel Down. I love how Oda is now filling in all of these blanks and stuff that was just behind the scenes stuff up until now. It's making me want to go back and reread the story with all this new knowledge in mind. I feel like we're going to appreciate the story so much more now. Even that scene where Bonnie and Sabo got so upset seeing Kuma being mistreated by a Celestial Dragon and Marijoa hits so much harder now after the past few chapters, where we know both of their connections to Kuma. Anyways, it's pointing out how Kuma has been busy himself all this time, going from king to tyrant to now pirate. This dude has been everything. Bello Betty, the current East Army commander in the present, not yet in this flashback, tells Kuma that she wants to become the commander of the East Army, but Dragon won't give her the position unless Kuma allows it. Keep in mind, this is because this was Ginny's position. So cool to see Dragon holding Kuma and his opinion in such high regard still. Kuma then says, thinking of Ginny, "So a woman with a filthy mouth wants to become commander. Fine by me," end quote. Dragon then finally talks to Kuma about Vegapunk. We knew it was coming, and here it finally is, the link that will connect Kuma and Bonnie to Vegapunk. Dragon says he never recommended Vegapunk before because it was impossible to meet Vegapunk while he was in Punk Hazard. But an accident just happened at Punk Hazard, the huge explosion by Caesar Clown, and so Vegapunk has to move his lab. Dragon explains that the defense of the new lab is still weak, and so Kuma should go and meet him now. Obviously, if anyone can cure Bonnie, it's Vegapunk, the greatest mind in the world. Kuma thanks Dragon and says if he manages to cure Bonnie, he would like to fight alongside Dragon again. And Dragon then mentions the wind again, saying just leave fate to the blow of the wind, my friend. End quote. Now, since it has already been established that Dragon seems to have wind-based powers, and many theories, including ones laid out on this channel, also argue that he has a wind-based devil fruit or even Logia, these recurring uses of the word wind in this chapter seem to just confirm the assumptions even more. Dragon is the embodiment of the winds of change, figuratively as a revolutionary, but also literally as a wind fruit user. That seems more obvious than ever now. Another hype detail is that Dragon knows where Egghead is, and so he may be a figure appearing there soon while our current battle in the present is taking place. I've been saying that now more than ever it makes sense for Dragon, not to mention Sabo, and Luffy, the awakened warrior of liberation, to team up, and this backstory has only made that more likely. Keep in mind, Luffy is now down for the count, and they still have to beat an elder. So they could definitely use the revolutionaries right about now. But for now, we cut back to Bonnie, and she's learning to fight, and what's more, she can even defeat an adult in hand-to-hand combat. I know Ginny was also a fighter and revolutionary, but this also makes me think that Bonnie's celestial dragon dad is also probably a good fighter and won't just be a random celestial dragon. Kuma then arrives at Sorbet Kingdom to meet Bonnie. As expected, he then brings her to Egghead. He brought her in a box, by the way, which explains how he could transport her without her coming into contact with too much sunlight. We find out at this point that Egghead was still a winter island. They meet a still big-headed Vegapunk. Bonnie plays with Sentomaru while Vegapunk and Kuma talk. Vegapunk tells Kuma exactly what he wants to hear, words that could potentially make up for his whole tragic journey up to this point. He says, yes, it is possible to cure Bonnie's disease, but of course there is a but. He says new transplanted cell technology that wasn't used in any hospital yet can save her. The problem is, though, that the cost is very high, just like creating a cyborg. Vegapunk goes on to test Kuma's blood and is shocked that Kuma is a buccaneer. Vegapunk asks why Kuma came to meet a government man when it's so risky for a buccaneer, and Kuma says he trusts Dragon, who has history with Vegapunk and vouched for him. Kuma then asks Vegapunk a very interesting question. He asks how his blood is different from normal human blood. Unfortunately, Vegapunk just says there aren't enough samples to come up with a clear explanation, so Oda just teased us for no reason right there. Vegapunk then comes up with an idea and solution for Bonnie's predicament. He tells Kuma to become a host of the clone army that Vegapunk is planning to create, and he will cure Bonnie for free. Kuma says without hesitation that for Bonnie he will accept any condition. Bro, he is such a good guy, so much so that it brings tears to the eyes, it really does. But he still asks what Vegapunk's clones will do. At this point, Vegapunk is still very optimistic about it all. He says they will become Marines. He will make them shoot laser beams so that they can defeat quote-unquote evil pirates. And even better, they will have strong bodies that can be used as shields for innocent people. We then figure out that tragically Saturn is listening to this entire conversation from Arijoa. So we're starting to piece together why Bonnie specifically blames Saturn for all of this, as we saw in a recent chapter. Looks like he's about to ruin this seemingly perfect plan right now. Saturn says, Vegapunk has no idea how to utilize this chance. I have another idea, ... end quote. Really hope that this guy gets his just desserts this arc. Hopefully Dragon shows up and shows him what's what with his devil fruit powers. And I really hope that we don't have to wait down the line for this elder to get it. I mean, we still have 4 elders left, right? So who cares if we handle one sooner rather than later? So back to Egghead, and Kuma and Vegapunk are still talking. Kuma says at first, I plan to accept any condition, even if Vegapunk was a demon. But he says, if your clones can save the lives of people, maybe this is the purpose I was born for. Oh, it's so tragic how good intentions end up being twisted so badly. And here we know already that both Kuma and Vegapunk's best wishes will be warped by the world government. But Vegapunk for his part just says what he's thinking, and what we're all thinking, that Kuma is such a saint. He's always willing to sacrifice himself for other people. But Kuma is too good to even accept that compliment and says, no, I am just a pacifista. Vegapunk likes it and says he'll use pacifista to name the warriors of the future that he will create. And so now we finally know why these creations that the government uses to exercise physical force against other people have the very ironic name of pacifista, meaning like a pacifist being against war and violence. These chapters have definitely fleshed out Kuma's character in an amazing way and made him one of the most likable characters in the entire series. Oda better give him and Bonnie the happy ending they deserve after all that suffering. But if you like learning more about warlords like Kuma, then you don't want to miss my All Warlords and Their Powers Explained video, link on screen right now. Like and subscribe to help us reach our insane goal of 2 million subscribers on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next one.